right, it's that time again, 5 p.m. on Instagram. It's lab talk, as usual. Lab talk at 5 p.m. I'm so excited about what we're discussing today, and I'm just going to put the topic here. So we're talking more about corporate. Hey, Mankune, thank you so much for coming in. So we are continuing our discussion on corporate, and I think so yesterday we ended up on getting in to the interviews. So we're just gonna carry on with the topic. So that, have you identified your 3 companies that you are interested in, or are you still on the path of public health, or where's your stance at this point? Hey, so I just want to know whether are you comparing then public health with the corporate, or are you like gonna test everything else out? I think you are still at a point where you can really test out anything that you want. I don't think you are supposed to be restricted. You still have the opportunity to go out and test the waters and see which one you like the most and which one works and which one doesn't, unless you already really have a great idea what it is you want to do now. Not everybody knows what it is that they want to do, but you can always test it out. Hey, thank you for coming through. So we're talking more about corporate. Mamkin, if you can just send in that comment so I can see where we are at right now. And my lovely, I'm going to stick to just this name here. I'm going to call you the Karat Makoti. I know you've been getting a whole lot of Tswana lessons from me also. You're getting a word here and there. So just to continue with the discussion on getting into corporate. So have you also selected your 3 companies that you are interested in? Just put them into the comments so we can see what it is that we are doing right now, and then we can continue with that. All right, so today's discussion will mainly be across, you guys need to find ways obviously to pick those 3 companies that you want. Once you've picked them, you obviously then gonna compare all the benefits and all of that. For example, one benefit we didn't mention, I also received an email update from HR, which was actually nice. So these companies also include life insurance as a benefit while you're working with them. So life insurance, they can cover that for you. Then you also have like disability and death cover and all of that. Hey Gloria, thank you so much for coming through. So we were just talking about more benefits. So just an update from HR with an email just to show me more of the covers that I have and how they are right now. So they'll give you a life cover, they'll give you a funeral cover, they'll give you a death cover. Obviously it will differ from company to company. Some of them have better covers and others not. So they will definitely cover you in case of death, in case of you have life insurance, you have quite a few things that you can get from them, right? So that's one of the benefits that you can definitely get on the corporate side. So your companies, yes, company R, company A, and company S, and you want to finish your masters in public health. The COVID-19 derailed my plans, so I won't finish this year. Not to worry, we all have. I'd like to think of myself as diverse, so I don't want to restrict myself to one discipline, and you shouldn't. I like that. There's certain people who say you need to like find one niche place. You don't always have to. We are diverse people. We like different things. When you like sales, you can do sales, and next thing you want to do applications, next thing you want to go into public health. You have time and you can move around as much as you want until you actually sit down and find the one that, and if you are even at a position where you can create your own mixture, where you get almost like the best of both worlds, then you can even do that. Like for example, with this company A that you have in the middle here. So when I was an ambassador there, so an ambassador at that time, hey Steve, thanks for joining, was a combination of sales and applications. I was like, This it was actually the nicest mixture I could have, because I had strong applications and I had at that time very limited. I was so new. They call them rookies. I was a rookie salesperson. I had no idea what was going on in sales, and everything I know about sales I learned from them. And then I also got a personal mentor and coach to get training in sales, and it was more also a customized feel just for me specifically. All right, so it wasn't like a general sales course that I went to for like 5 days or 2 days. You do get those, and you can definitely do those. A lot of the courses that I also did, you will not believe, I got them on LinkedIn Learning. Yes, you do have to pay for that, for the LinkedIn Learning. So you have a whole lot of, it's much like Udemy and Thinkific. You can get the courses on LinkedIn, but you do have to pay for it. It's a monthly subscription. It also comes with a free trial, much like the LinkedIn Premium. So LinkedIn Premium, we were talking about it yesterday. LinkedIn Premium actually gives you a little gold IN signal there for the LinkedIn. It actually makes you, when recruiters come in, it pushes your name on top of the list. So if there's 200 participants, you find that your name is among the top 10 or top 20. So definitely, if you can, for that short period when you are applying, you can use the free trial for that month, and then you can take it off if you want. Otherwise, if you are really needing it, then push it for about 2-3 months. You can pay those $7.49, about 1.5 for that 3 months while you are actively searching. But if you're not ready and you're not actively searching, you can just put it off and just try the trial. So when you go off the trial, they'll always send you marketing. Thank you so much, my friend. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. So I know we are both medical technologists and we both love to craft. I'm like a DIY, like I love it. I do it off the sides. But my friend here, let's just craft. I mean, you know, I don't even know what to say about you. I'm so shocked that you're here today joining us, and I'm really excited. You guys can go check out her page and see all the amazing stuff that she does. You will not believe that she's also a medical technologist, but her art and craft is just amazing. I'm just like, oh, I'm so excited. Okay, now you've just almost derailed me, my friend. So thank you so much. Go check out her page and, you know, get yourself some of her stuff. So I'm really excited. And she says, keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Oh my God. So today we're talking about corporate and what benefits you can get out of corporate, and how to get in and how to navigate the system. Okay, so some of the benefits we already touched on. You get life cover on there, you get death cover, you get funeral cover, and of course your medical aids and all of that. And then I went into the lab today to do a courtesy call. So I've already told you guys that my child is having cerebral palsy. So Discovery, and I think almost every other medical aid, has a cover called the prescribed minimum benefits, where they cover for things like chronic and you know, illnesses that one cannot obviously pay out of their own pocket for all the time. So it's a mixture of chronics and life disabling diseases, including depression. So, you know, for me, I've been depressed twice in my life, and it was easy for me to walk into the lab today, and the person I was talking to had just lost their partner, and it was easy for me to now say, hey, actually I've done this. So you can actually go and see either your psychiatrist or your psychologist, and they can actually help you apply for that. Even the people at the medical aids will help you apply. So it's a PMB, prescribed minimum benefits, that you can actually get for free, that they will cover all those costs. So physiotherapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, your visitations with the psychiatrist or the psychologist, whoever else. There's so many options that you can definitely use. So sometimes you go through experiences not knowing that one day you will be able to help someone in need. So definitely there is benefits that you can use from these. So it was quite yeah. I mean, I don't mind talking about my face being depressed and my space being RT, thank you so much for joining us. So there's obviously other things that, you know, life throws at you, so that one day you can be strong enough to be able to tell the story and be able to guide someone else. So let's go back to corporate. So in corporate, like I was saying, it is quite a dog-eat-dog world. If you decide to go into sales, you must know that there will be customers that are assigned to you. There's different ways that they assign the customers to you. So you either have a region, meaning you work like in that specific region or with a 4-hour radius, or you work with specific customers. So say for example in South Africa, I could probably say we have a handful of customers. So you can either work with these 3 groups or the other 2 groups. And if you are just by yourself, so I started off as just being me in the Gauteng region, and so I was doing all those private labs, including the NHLS. So it was really one that you have to now plan your time. You have to structure your customer visits. Like I already said earlier, that you can structure them into segments A, B, and C. Who pays you the most, the middle customer, and the one who pays you the least. So you're not running around visiting every other customer. Again, you can also segment them in such a way where you like a B customer can certainly be an A customer because they have space for you to add on stuff. So you can add more tests on there. Hi, I will watch a follow-up video. Busy at the moment. Thank you so much. Great, no problem. Go and you can watch the replay. So we have replays on my IGTV and also on YouTube at Leah M. Mulai. So certainly, so you know, you are able to manage your time with that, so you can definitely do that. If you want to go into marketing, you can go into marketing. You don't really need any prior experience per se. They will train you either internally, or you can do yourself a favor and do a short marketing course. It doesn't have to completely be a degree, although it is sometimes advantageous. But don't stop yourself. Remember, we were talking yesterday, you can just apply. And the one tip I have for you guys when you are applying, so if you're applying for the same job, or rather the same company, like you see now that company list I send you guys with all the job posts on, so there's probably about 15 job posts there. If you are going to apply for those 5, don't just apply for the one and think, okay, I'll just do one, because already each one of those positions have about over 200 applicants in there already. So what you want to do is, you don't want to have a generic CV or CV cover. So just where you have space, Janine, where you have space to put in like a mini motivation, just this much, that small little block in there, write it individually for each of the job roles that you're going to apply for. So if there's one for sales, put a motivation why you would be good for that sales role. If you're going to apply for applications, which is completely different from sales, put in there why you would be best for that role. My tip for you then is give them value. So you don't want to talk about, I know it's your CV, but that little portion is about the company, what you can do for them. So when you start, you talk about them and who they are and what they do in a short little form, and then you can talk about yourself to say, based on what I've just said up there about you guys, I have this to offer. What I was doing before can easily be transferable to what this role requires. Let's take a quick example. So if you are now applying for a technical specialist position, which is the one that's on there, you first talk about the company and its vision and what it's trying to do. Maybe they've just released a new analyzer, or they've just now, most companies are now releasing the new COVID SARS tests for the immuno. So if you've had any experience, for example, you've worked in the public health sector, you've worked with EQAs, you've trained customers before, you can simply go and say, I'm seeing the vision that you're having and what you're targeting and what you're trying to do and the initiatives you're doing. I'm also in that role. I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. So it will be easy then for you to integrate me because I already know the customers. You saw they split them, the account managers, into public and private and all of that, and Gauteng. So you can already say, I already stay in Gauteng. I've worked for both the public and the private sector. I'm currently in the private sector as a trainer or as a lab manager or as a technologist who is responsible for 1, 2, 3, 4. I also manage the stock in the lab, meaning you will be great when you have to do product plannings and you have to do orders at the end of the month, and you can assist the people in the lab to say, okay, how can I work with you? So what you're doing now, even if it's almost totally unrelatable, you have to try and make it now, link it to the role that you're applying for. Does that make sense? So you link it back, because whatever you are doing now is not a waste, even if it's completely different. Say, for example, you craft. That on its own, you can say, I'm creative, I can think on the spot, I can put things that are almost unrelated to each other, and I can make it work, and I can make a beautiful product out of it. And so I can do the same thing here with your marketing, with your PR and your branding and all of that. So you can definitely use any of those. If you're a relief tech and you travel from lab to lab to lab, you know those guys that are like all over the place, that shows that you're flexible, that shows that you can, there's a lot of things that you can do. So we do travel a lot. So if you're already now a relief tech, it means you already know what it takes to travel. You already know how to record your mileage, because you must record it. You already know that you need to submit your expenses, which we need to do. Do you work with targets or hours in corporate? For instance, do you work for 8 hours regardless of whether you're done or not? If you have to attend to 4 clients regardless of what time you finish at. Okay, so it depends what role you are in and what the day looks like. So you do have to work your 8-hour shift. But if you're out visiting customers, for example, and you plan your trips, so let's talk about those ABCs. You've structured them. So you can plan your trips in such a way that in the morning, customers usually don't want to see us before 9 o'clock. And they don't want to see us usually after 3 o'clock, so they are tired. So you have this 1 hour that you can use for travel, and you have this other hour that you can use to come back home. If you finish early, depending on, so these companies differ. So some companies would want you to rather finish off, come back to the office and sit there until you are done. And others are more flexible, and they will let you go home and you finish your work then at home, meaning you are capturing all the discussions you had. You had your client visit and the customer asked you to send them a price list. So in that time, it's not like you've now knocked off. You now go home and finish the work at home or at the office. But in terms of seeing customers, for example, if you are sales, especially sales is very flexible. If you want flexi hours, sales is really the place to go in, because you plan your days, you plan your visits. You can spend, say for example, 30 minutes with this customer, and you drive to, if you are in the Pretoria area, for example, you say, I'm gonna go to Heart Hospital at 9 o'clock until 9:30. It doesn't have to be exactly 30 minutes or an hour, depending on what plan you guys have. Then you can say, I'm gonna go from Heart, and then I'm gonna go to Zaid Afrikaans, and then I'm gonna drive to Eugene Marais, and I stay in Arcadia. So once I leave Eugene Marais, I come back straight to my house. Or I start with Eugene Marais, which is further, and then you work your way almost like close to your house, and then by the time you knock off, you're like so close to your house, you just go home. So you can plan them in that way. And Vera says, okay, it makes sense. As long as you have attended to your clients, your work is done for the day. Yes. When you've attended to your clients, your work is done, but it means it's not like now you can go off and go on a shopping spree or whatever. As long as you are also available on your phone, on your email, if an email comes through, you definitely have to respond to that. And if you have things that you have to do for your customers, you most likely want to do that. Sometimes the meetings are so long, you have to like type minutes. So you come back home and you type your minutes and you send feedback, and you're now phoning around. Sometimes you have times to yourself. Some days are crazy. People, especially when there's like times for tenders. So we have tenders for, like, maybe this customer has a tender that we want to bid for, and all the companies bid for that same tender. So the technical people have to sit there, applications have to fill in all the specifications, or if there's, so companies like the one I'm working at now, there's a specific tender person. That person sits there and does all the tenders, and everybody else just submits the information to this person. So that saves time. But in other companies, everybody has to have a role. You need to play a role and put the tenders together. As either sales, together with sales and applications and engineers, because everybody sort of has a little bit of information on everything. I can only speak about essays and specifications. Engineers will talk to the size and what the requirements are for the water units and the spacing needed and the floor. How heavy is it? Can it handle the weight of the instrument? So there's a lot of things that go in. Sales must come in and put the pricing together, get the best pricing in there. So it's actually quite a lot of work and a collaborative work, but you obviously still get training for that also. Hey Justin, thank you so much for joining. So quite frankly, so yeah, going back to the hours, so you definitely Depending on what company it is, other companies will make you go back to the office and others will let you go home and finish off, as long as you develop that relationship with your manager, and you build that trust relationship. They know that when you're home, you're still going to attend to your customers. You're not going to ignore their customers. At the end of the day, for you also, you need to decide. Other days you can push hard. On that day you can go and see 5 customers, and then the next day you can go and see 2 or 3 customers. Some of them have a minimum requirement of 3. Company A, very nice company, minimum requirements of 3 customers per day, and other companies will say about 6 to 8, especially if you go towards the pharmaceutical side where they see doctors for like a short period of time. Then they are more strict because doctors are usually very busy and they see you in between their own patients. So if you go into the pharmaceutical side of things, then you might need to see a lot more doctors on that day. The targets are different, the stress level is different, and it also depends whether you're doing local customers or whether you're doing customers outside of your area. For example, if I'm in Gauteng, I can do Joburg today, Pretoria tomorrow, Joburg the next day, Pretoria the next day, and then Friday I'm at the office, depending on how you want to structure it. So you're going to plan it out by yourself and together then with your director, supervisor, or manager, or whoever else is in charge of what you have to do. So you actually have control. Now with applications, it's different. Applications, other companies allow you to work from home. And the company I'm at now used to not allow us to work from home. We used to be at the office every single day. And then COVID came through, and now it looks like it actually works better for us to be home. Some people prefer to still go back to the office because the kids are like noisy, they're distracting them. So it's absolutely almost like now a personal choice. But for safety purposes, we do work from home unless we have to go out and there's a call we have to do. So it's different. So when a call comes in and there's a breakdown, we attempt to assist the customers over the phone. And then if we can't, then we have to go on site to actually go and fix it. So engineers, for example, work overtime. Applications in this company that I'm at now, also they work overtime. So you will see I'll be going into the labs. I've been posting I'm going into the labs on Sundays. I go into the labs. It's a pleasure. I go into the lab on like random days. Sometimes it's a public holiday, like now during Good Friday I went into the lab because the engineers did something on the analyzer that requires calibrations on the assays, all of them. So things like that do happen, that you go in. It's not all of the companies that actually have their applications people working at night, but there are some critical customers that cannot afford to be down for the night. But if it's one that can go through and maybe they have an alternative site to send the tests to, or they have another lab that or another instrument next to that one that is backup, then they can just switch and then you can go the next day. So it depends from company to company. If you're gonna come to the company I'm at, definitely overtimes and night shift are part of the package, but in other places it's flexi, it's like 5/8. So you have to do your own research on any one of these, and a lot of these other companies are very flexible with working from home. You can look, as long as you are available. If you go to the shops during your lunchtime and come back, the main thing is, as long as you are available, your customers are happy, you're not keeping anyone pending, then you should be good to go. All right. And we're always very portable. We have our offices in our bags, in our cars, in our, like, everything you need is really much there. Whether it's order numbers, whether it's like, there's so many things that you actually have that you can use from home. The other thing with applications is that you're almost always on call. Sales is different. 8 to 5, you knock off, you are done. There's no one that's gonna place an order at 10 p.m. at night. You are done. But with applications, it's sometimes a little bit different. We do have ways where now the engineers are always on call to receive applications calls after hours. But then if they cannot get the customer right, then they phone you as applications. So you almost always have to make yourself available. It's not like that in all companies, honestly. Some, the companies are like this. So if they're good here, they are bad here. If they are good, that's why I say it's a personal choice that you have to make, to say, I'm comparing these 3 companies, this is what I want. If you don't want to work overtime and you don't want to work weekends, then you pick the roles like marketing. Marketing people don't work overtime. They are like 8 to 5 people. Hotline people work their normal shift. Product managers have their normal shifts. The only time they really work extra hard is maybe there's a launch coming up, or there is a presentation that they have to prepare for. If they have to, like, so it depends. There's like sometimes extreme measures that come into place, and there are more and more and more in the office in those long meetings. Like, they sit there for hours. Since you guys travel a lot, is it a requirement to have your own vehicle, or do they provide you with a car or a car allowance? All right, so that's another one. That's a great one. Thanks. So when you are traveling, so those people that are based in the office do not receive a car allowance, because they go straight to the office and they go back home. So if you're going to be on the hotline, or you're going to be someone who doesn't need to move around, then you don't get a car allowance. Now, with the car allowances, there's two options, and that depends mainly on the company that you go into, and they are able to chop and change the policies. I've seen them change it so many times. So the car allowance is your own car, and then they give you an allowance which comes together with your salary. Then a car allowance gives you a total cost to company, and then what you get at the end of that is everything minus your tax. So your car allowance you can obviously claim the following year, which is why it's so important to keep all your receipts that you get from the petrol station, and you also submit them for the company for them to claim. And then with the car allowance, okay, so the other option is you have your own car and you get a car allowance. The other option, which not all companies have, is that you get a company car. So they purchase the car, and then you get to use it for the time that you are working with them. When you leave the company, then they keep their car. There's also options that if you want to buy the car from them, you can. So when you have a car allowance, it's your own car. They just give you money to pay towards the car. I hope that makes sense. So there's those two options. You either have a company car, which is their car, and you drive around. And then when you have a car allowance, it's your own car, but they give you a car allowance to pay for that, which you can claim back from SARS. Okay. And when it's their own company car, they claim back on their side. And then you just need to keep sure your mileage is there so you can claim it back. You can get your 80% of your money back from SARS from there. So I hope that answers your question. Those that work in the office, no car allowance. And those that do travel around, that includes sales, applications, engineers, people who are like forever in the lab. So if you see those people that are always fixing stuff in the lab, that person is probably getting either a car allowance or has a company car. All right. So I hope that answers your question. Hey, Alex! Thank you so much for joining in. So Alex will be joining us on Thursday, which is tomorrow. I hope you are ready, Alex. Yay! So excited. So definitely your engineers field, usually your title will have something about field in it. So if it has field, most likely you will be receiving either a car allowance or a company car, and that also depends primarily on that company that you are working for. So they definitely differ, and the prices, the amount that you get for your car allowance, they differ from company to company to company. Some of them are like this much, and some of them are like this much. So that also depends on what the company is almost targeting when it comes to taxes. So other companies, they will definitely give you a petrol allowance, your petrol card that you can swipe and get petrol for. And then with these companies, you can obviously have that credit card. So the reason we keep the slips is so that they can pay back the money back into your credit card, so you can use it the next month. All right, so you always have to have those receipts for them. And then with other companies, they claim their mileages almost every single month, and then that money gets paid to them. They claim the kilometers that they have at that time. Hey, thank you so much for joining through. And so so you have different companies, much like sales. So sales companies, sometimes others are basically measured over how the overall company performs, and then you get paid based on how the company performs throughout. Others, you get paid on commission based on what you have sold, either monthly. So some companies get it monthly and you get a monthly commission, and other companies you get it only once the financial year is done for that company. So when I insure my car, I have to say I use it both for work and personal use. Most of these companies have insurance, and if they don't, yes, you have to state that you use it for work purposes. And when you insure the car for company work or business, you have to get business insurance, and business insurance is usually more expensive than personal insurance. So but you do have to state that it is for work, otherwise if the insurance finds out that you actually using it for business purposes, they might not cover you in terms of the time where you need coverage. So you have to be upfront with them to say what it is. And also yes, so most of these companies either have insurance that they can pay for your car insurance and they will cover that, and those that don't have, then you have to use your own insurance, and it's definitely much more expensive on a business insurance, much more than with your personal insurance. So you will have to obviously then shop around if the company you have chosen does not provide insurance. Okay, but if it is that company car, they will have insurance for their own cars. So it's almost like you have to like pick them really well. All right, so yeah. And then I think more on that in terms of insurance, there was something else when I saw insurance. I wanted to tell you something which just slipped my mind, so it's fine. So when you insure your car, definitely business cover and then not personal, and then just tell them what it is. If they do already cover the insurance, then they'll automatically cover, and then they will tell you how to claim and all of that. All right, so they have very strict rules in terms of how many times you can claim and what the amount it is that you have to pay before they make any repairs to your cars. All right, so that's that with the benefits. Any other questions that you guys want? Any other allowances? Yes, so some companies have a food allowance. So food allowance, as you travel around, some of them, like company A has a food allowance that you get monthly, and those that are in the office get like a meal card, and then those on the road have money that comes into their account every month with their salary that you can spend to buy your food. The company I'm at now doesn't seem to have that. So there's like small little benefits here and there that you get in other companies that other companies don't have. The life covers and the funeral covers, some of them have, especially the bigger ones, and the small little ones sometimes don't have. But sometimes they also have more benefits in terms of if you want to receive your commission monthly, you definitely have companies that have that option. Company A, for example, at that time, things change all the time, so you didn't get a monthly commission. You got an overall of at the end of that year and what based on what the overall company got, and then your region, which is EMEA, for example. So they have them obviously grouped into the US and the UK. EMEA is usually with Europe, Middle East, and Africa, which are usually sometimes grouped together. Now, this changes with each and every company as how they want to classify their own. So you almost earned on 3 different levels. How much you brought in yourself, how much your region, as say for example South Africa, got, and then you also got measured on your region, say EMEA, and then you also got measured on the company as a whole. Did they make money or not? All right. And so we also always report to shareholders. So you get measured really on an annual target. I think we were talking about targets earlier. So you have a target that you have to hit for the year, and then it gets broken down into quarters. So every quarter you have to hit your target, and in between the quarters, every month you have to hit your target. So that is sometimes flexible from company to company. So if you're looking at a quarter, why a quarter? Because other companies pay their shareholders quarterly dividends. Okay, so if you own shares in that company, every quarter they have to pay their shareholders, and then it means at that time, whether you missed month 1 or month 2, month 3, you must hit, so that they can pay the shareholders also. And then at the end of the year, you also get to have a nice fat bonus if you guys did well. If you didn't do well, no bonuses. Oh, and that's another thing. So some companies have 13th checks, others don't. Like, I don't understand. So others don't have a 13th check, and others do have, and others do what these other private labs do. So they tell you that you either earn more monthly, and then sort of they split your bonus into little bits and pieces, and your salary is a little bit higher for that month, every month. And then others have the option where you are like I don't understand why they do this. So yeah, they either give you a 13th check or they don't. So there's some that literally give you a 13th check, which is usually the same amount as your salary at that time. So they almost pay you double in that month. So those are the companies to look out for. And then there's others that don't have a 13th check, and some of them just say from the salary you are earning, they can take from that salary and sort of do like a little savings pocket for you. So you definitely have to look at that. So other companies, you get your 13th check. That does not even include your sales commission. So 13th check is 13th check, and then you still on top of that get your commission from sales. Making applications, I'm like, I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, so there's not really so what you can get with applications is overtime if they can give you that. So not all companies have overtime for applications. They have overtime for engineers. So it depends which company you are at. And then others, sales, obviously there's not really real overtime with sales, because you plan and which customer and doctor are you gonna see at night. So in that time, there's no overtime, but the commission, depending on you and how much you work, is really great. Some companies don't work, like Humor doesn't work on individual, they do an overall. So you have to go into each one of these companies and find out what their bonus structure is, what benefits do they have. And the other important thing is towards your provident fund. So how much actually are they paying towards your provident fund? In the corporate, most of them are usually a little bit higher, but you have to check them and compare. And usually they can give you either 75% or 50%, depending on which company it is. You definitely have to compare. Remember to compare the provident funds. Yeah, that's one thing that definitely you need to compare. Compare the provident funds, compare the medical aid, compare the allowances and the car assurances, compare really what time frames are they working on. Do you have to be there the full 8 hours? Can you work from home? So ask those things when you are in there. So we've already spoken about how to prepare your CV. Remember that cover letter must always be on there for each and every post that you're going to apply for. Let it be individualized, so it's not generic. So you're applying for 5 posts, but that cover letter is almost the same for all of them. It gets really boring. The nice thing about it is, even though they come through HR, each one of your hiring managers has the opportunity to decide who they want and how that works. All right. So is there anything else you guys would like us to touch on this topic? Tomorrow we are having my dear friend Alex. Alex and I go a long way back. So we started in the first year together doing biomedical technology, and he is now like, hey, he's like way on the other side of the ocean, and I really love that. I mean, the other day he was giving me lessons on the difference between EST and CAT, and I couldn't really understand what the different time zones were all about. And I'm really grateful. He's always there just teaching. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this one short today. We're gonna wrap this up, and then tomorrow we're having the legendary DJ. Thank you so much. We're gonna wrap this up. So if you have questions tomorrow for Alex, so Alex started off as a medical technologist, went in and became applications, and then engineer, and technical special, and then I don't know what else. Alex, you will tell us everything. Hey Alex, we're looking forward. So yay. So definitely Alex, we are looking forward to having Alex tomorrow. I'm super excited. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.